The NFL offseason, for the most part at least, is in the books, and now we can sit back and review what every team did and how they improved their roster and ultimately their chances of winning a Super Bowl for the upcoming season. And in today's video, we're going to discuss the Seattle Seahawks and how they went from a once afterthought to a contender year in and year out, and it's because they're doing everything right. This, of course, goes back over a year, and in the timeline for today's video, we will start with the Russell Wilson trade and work up to the present day. And there is a lot to dive into with this team, and without further ado, let's begin. And we are starting today's video with a long overdue apology to the Seattle Seahawks, as I made a video on them during the 2022 offseason titled, "What are the Seattle Seahawks doing?" And I thought they were going to be a terrible team last year, as I couldn't fathom either Drew Lock or Geno Smith coming in and excelling in a division with, at the time, the final two teams in the NFC in the 2021 playoffs, as the 49ers lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion Rams in the 2021 NFC Championship game. So at the time, I very much thought, great, they have an aging head coach, and Pete Carroll is going to run this franchise into the ground, along with John Schneider, to be fair. When it's all said and done, and in the 2024 area, hopefully they can start over for real this time, and that hopefully by then, DK Metcalf will still want to be a part of what would be a rebuilding effort. However, Geno Smith did not write me back after I wrote him off, and he finished 4th in the NFL in passing touchdowns with 30, and the Seahawks made the playoffs, and because of how tumultuous of a season Denver had in 2022, the Seahawks had a top 5 draft pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. And in the NFL, there's two things you can never have enough of, which is pass rush and corners. And credit to Seattle for keeping this a secret, because this was not a pick mocked to them a whole lot at number 5, but Devin Witherspoon becoming a Seahawk and getting placed immediately into a secondary with 2022 draft steal in Tariq Woolen, who had a hell of a rookie year, and of course Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs will be beneficial to Devin's career. And with this came the immediate comparisons to a secondary Seattle used to have, led by future Hall of Famer Richard Sherman, aka the Legion of Boom 2.0. And I thought Seattle's first round pick was going to be one of two players. I thought it was going to be either Anthony Richardson, if he made it that far, which ultimately he did not, or Texas Tech's Tyree Wilson, as they would be getting a player that is good against the run for a team in a division that desperately needs it. But Seattle did a hell of a job this offseason before the draft started to address the defense in what was their biggest weakness in 2022, which of course was stopping the run. We've dove into this before on the channel, but the Seahawks had a few ugly losses last year to teams that you wouldn't think Seattle would have lost to, but ultimately did. Like a game against the Saints, in which they gave up 39 points and ultimately 235 yards on the ground, in a game Geno Smith also threw for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns. And typically, if your quarterback throws for nearly 300 yards, along with a turnover-free day, and has a passer rating of 139.7 on the road at that in theory should be good enough for a win. And there were times in 2022 where Pete Carroll and John Schneider were foaming at the mouth mad because they couldn't stop the run. And there is not many things in football that is more maddening than knowing what's coming at you and you still can't stop it. And this all goes back to the title of today's video of the Seattle Seahawks are doing everything right, because in addition to bringing Geno Smith back, which we will get more into later in the video, they brought in Draymond Jones, who had 47 tackles and 6.5 sacks for the Broncos last year, and a player who has really came into his own over the past few years. And not only did they bring in Draymond Jones, but they also brought back defensive lineman Jarran Reed in what I thought was one of the more underrated free agent signings, and especially one of the more quiet free agent signings of the entire 2023 class. Jaron was a second-round pick for Seattle back in 2016, and during his time in Seattle, he had a season with 10.5 sacks back in 2018 and had a season with 6.5 sacks in 2020. And after back-to-back disappointing seasons with Kansas City and Green Bay, at least relative to the player he was with Seattle during his first few years in the league, Jaron is back to his old stomping grounds and will provide some much-needed help along the defensive line. Oh, and there may have been one more noteworthy player the Seahawks brought back that you guys may have heard of. He's only a 6-time first-team All-Pro and an 8-time Pro Bowler that goes by the name of Bobby Wagner. So with the Seahawks allowing the 8th most points in all of football in 2022, and with allowing teams that finished with a top 10 draft pick to put up 27 points on them like Atlanta did in Week 3, or like the aforementioned Saints put up 39 in them in Week 5, or even the Raiders or Panthers who put up 40 and 30 on them, both in their stadium by the way, in what ended up becoming Seahawks losses, Seattle did everything they could to ensure this would not happen again and that they wouldn't finish with the 3rd most rushing yards allowed behind only the Texans and Bears, who of course finished with the 2 worst records in all of football. And out of the 18 games Seattle played last year, which is factoring in all 17 regular season games followed by the wild card loss to the 49ers, the Seahawks allowed at least 150 rushing yards as a team in 9 of the 18 games, so in 50% of their games, a team was running the ball down their throats. And in those 9 games, if you had to take a guess as to what their record was, what do you think it would be? Maybe 2-7 or 3-6? No, in fact it was 1-8 with their only win coming over the John Wolford-led Rams as Seattle won 27-23. And on the opposite side of this, Seattle was 8-1 when they allowed less than 150 yards rushing as a team, and their only loss in this scenario was to the Chiefs, who of course went on to win the Super Bowl, and of course they have a pretty good quarterback playing for them. 3 times they played the division rival San Francisco 49ers, and 3 times they allowed more than 150 yards rushing, with over 180 in each of their games that were played in the Bay Area, with 181 in the playoff game and 189 in the 27-7 Week 2 loss. We addressed what they did in free agency to ensure this doesn't happen to them again, but they also attacked this in the draft too, as they took edge Derek Hall in the 2nd round and 315-pound defensive tackle Cameron Young in the 4th round. I wouldn't expect too much from these guys as rookies, which isn't a knock on them as much as it is to acknowledge all of the free agents they brought in are going to split time with them, and with that comes less production because there are only so many snaps to go around. But one player who I think could quietly compete for Seattle this year and have a better year than what anyone thinks is 2nd-year pass rusher Boye Mafe. Mafe was a 2nd-round pick in their loaded 2022 class and often gets forgotten about because of having Charles Cross, Kenneth Walker, Abraham Lucas, and Tariq Woolen, but Mafe showed flashes during his rookie season. And this next point also applies to Derek Hall, their 2nd-round pick from this year, but it takes time to develop as a pass rusher at the NFL level and to adjust to the physicality and the strength at the NFL level. And what will also benefit not only Mafe, but everyone else along the defensive line and pass rush, like Uchenna Nwosu, who quietly had a career-high 9.5 sacks in 2022, is by the front office investing as heavily into the secondary as they did, that's only going to benefit the pass rush because, in theory, the secondary should hold up longer than a lot of other secondaries around the league from a coverage standpoint. This is all without mentioning Darrell Taylor, who tied Uchenna Nwosu for leading the team in sacks with 9.5. And for Darrell specifically, he is entering a contract year, and guys typically perform better in contract years because they know what's on the horizon if, in Darrell's case, if he has a 12 or 13 sack season. Somebody will throw him anywhere from $18 to $20 million or even more at him per year, and because the Seahawks have drafted smart over the past few years, they have a backup plan in either Boye Mafe or Derek Hall if this is how this situation pans out. Now, from the defensive side of the ball, we go to the offensive side of the ball, and Seattle had one of the biggest steals in the entire 2023 class, and they got the receiver run started when they selected Jackson Smith-Njigba with their second first-round pick at number 20 overall. This, to me at least, was insane value, and I never would have thought JSN was going to be there for them with their second first-round pick. There were occasional mocks, and granted they were very spicy to say the least, but occasional mocks would have Seattle take him at 5 just to ensure they got him, thinking there was no chance in hell he would be there at 20. And while I love this selection and this addition to an offense that already has DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Kenneth Walker, I was surprised they took Zach Charbonnet in the second round. Granted, I love the pick, but I was surprised, and truth be told, Zach was my favorite player in the entire draft class, but what I love so much about the Charbonnet pick is this. We are in an era in the NFL where running backs' careers are shorter than ever, and teams are lucky if they can get 5 years out of a player. There are some cases where we'll see 6 years, but take someone like Leonard Fournette, for example, who just 6 years, as crazy as that is to say out loud, but 6 years ago was a top 5 pick and is effectively on his last legs as an NFL player. So the reason I love the Charbonnet pick so much is by making this pick, you are protecting current running back Kenneth Walker on top of it. And in the scenario where either Kenneth or Zach get hurt, because injuries happen at the running back position, given how violent of a sport football is, you still have a very good option and player to run the football with while waiting for the other to return. This would of course be hoping an injury would not be season-ending. So for Seattle to acquire Charbonnet and pair him with Walker, you can kind of have your own version of what the Falcons have now, Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. If one gets tired or if one has 3 or 4 carries in a row, hell, let's put the other player in who is fresh, and while the defense has tried to stop the run 3 plays in a row and given up 15 or 20 yards in the process, let's give them the running back who is ready to do damage. And if the defense braces for the run and wants to play 7 or 8 men in the box, oh yeah, by the way, we still have a 6'3", 230-pound freak of a human being in DK Metcalf that ran an unprecedented sub 4.40 at the Combine back in 2019. And with Seattle's offense, and this also applies to their defense too for that matter, what I love is how everything is going to gel together, where if DK has a down week, it's probably because there was a heavy emphasis on the run game and Charbonnet and Walker each had 15 plus carries, and vice versa. But this will also help out their defense because of the time they're not going to spend on the field, meaning they will be more fresh and ready to play every possession. Seattle can legitimately wear teams out the way teams did to them in 2022. They can be the ones running for 175 yards and holding the ball for 35 minutes of the game and be the physically imposing team. They can be the ones that set the tone and wear teams down for 4 quarters. They can be the offense that opposing defenses groan when having to play them because they know they have to answer every look they throw at them. And if the Seahawks play to their potential in 2023, they could very easily win one, if not multiple playoff games. I hope you guys enjoyed the old format, as we will be back to this for pretty much every video until the 2024 draft, but that's all I have for today, and if you did enjoy, please like the video and subscribe to the channel as we are closing in on 75k. My Twitter and Patreon links are in the description if you'd like to support the channel, and until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.